Welcome to Question It, the podcast where we rethink health, wellness, and personal growth. I'm Kevin, your host, chief inquisitor, and sometimes guinea pig, exploring fresh paths to a better life. Let's dive into today's episode and get started. Before we begin this episode, it's important to provide a strong disclaimer and trigger warning. The content of this episode includes discussions on sensitive and potentially distressing topics. These may include, but are not limited to, mental health struggles, emotional distress, trauma, or other challenging subjects. While these discussions are approached with care and compassion, they may be triggering for some listeners. If you find these topics difficult to hear or are feeling vulnerable, please prioritize your mental and emotional well-being. It's okay to pause, skip, or listen with support from someone you trust. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health challenges or emotional distress, help is available. In the U.S., you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. For international listeners, please visit befrienders.org to find resources in your area. This podcast is intended to foster understanding and reflection, not to cause harm. Thank you for taking care of yourself as we explore this challenging but important topic together. Once again, on the Question It podcast, we're going to be covering a really heavy topic. And I've done this once before, and I'm sure I'll be doing it again. And the topic is suicide. And this time, I want to share with you something that I wrote about a childhood friend who died by suicide 2 years ago now, but it still really hits close to home. And, you know, with 132 suicides every day in the United States, this problem is not going away, and we're really struggling to address it in a major way. So I want to share this story with you, and hopefully start to really make some strides in a better understanding of why a person may choose suicide for themselves. This article is titled "A Suicide Close to Home and a Plea." And I wrote this article 2 years ago, as I said. Last week, I received some terrible news. My mom called to tell me an old childhood and down the street neighbor friend died by suicide at the age of 55. Talk about a gut punch. I cannot even fathom what his wife and 3 teenage kids are feeling, or his father and 2 older brothers. I'm not looking for any thoughts, prayers, or condolences. Honestly, I had not had any contact with him for more than 20 years. The last time I recall seeing him was in the 1990s in San Francisco, where he and his brother took me out for my very first sushi experience. Still, he mattered to me because he was a real and significant part of my childhood. He introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons and the rock group Queen. He mattered because he was a unique energy in the universe, just like you are. My heart hurts knowing he was in pain. I don't know many details, but I have learned he struggled with physical ailments and mental health challenges for years. He had been getting help with both for a while with no significant success. Our species has put forth a massive effort regarding physical health, or at least staying alive. I think we're all pretty grateful for that. But when it comes to, quote, mental health, I think we're failing pretty miserably, and it's only getting worse. It needs to change. I know many people are working hard in the industry, and if today's, quote, systems are helping you, wonderful, keep at it. However, from my vantage point and studying human behavior for 22 years, I believe we need an epic and dramatic change, shift, and pivot to a whole new paradigm of thinking. I'm writing this post as a call to action to start thinking differently about behavior. I'm writing to offer a distinct differentiation between mental health and emotional health. While they interrelate, they are not the same. I'm sharing to plant a seed and consider that a person's behavior, any behavior, is not a conscious choice or the result of a, quote, broken brain, whether it's chemistry or genetics, but rather, a person's behavior, far more than often, is a subconsciously driven attempt to compensate for an unmet need or pain, and that pain is emotionally rooted. How many people turn to drugs or alcohol to numb their emotional pain and then develop an addiction? We use food to comfort ourselves from negative emotions or celebrate the positive ones. We hurt others through gun violence and racism. We become depressed when we feel disconnected or not valued or loved. We experience anxiety when we fear a possible pain, and that pain is often emotional in the form of shame or judgment. For example, public speaking opens us up to judgment. We seek power, money, and status in order to feel valued and like we matter. We, quote, overachieve to improve our power, money, or status situation to feel valued because we're not feeling valued for the unique person we are in the universe. And to us, subconsciously, feeling valued equals feeling loved. Love is a basic human need, and without it, including connection and belonging, we experience very real emotional pain. Love is not mental, it's emotional, and we need it. This is my plea. This is the paradigm shift I believe humanity needs, or we will self-destruct sooner than later. Just like so many of us are self-destructing or destroying others with our own compensatory behaviors. Just like a parent passes on their own feelings of inadequacy, their big T trauma, and especially their little t trauma, and their pain of not feeling loved the way they needed it to their kids. Hurt people will hurt people, including themselves. This is no more clear than in the case of suicide or gun violence. People are not crazy, they're in pain, and a person will do anything to ease their pain now, even if it is harmful down the road. For example, cigarettes, alcohol, sugar, etc. Happy people do good things. The more heard and understood, valued and loved, connected and belonging we feel, the happier we are. This is how we, as a species, can end the destructive behaviors and live easier, happier, and globally peaceful lives. Please take this to heart for yourself and those closest to you. Please share and spread the word. You are part of the solution, and we're all in this together. We're connected because that is our biology. Peace, love, and connect. Kevin. So I hope this passage, this article that I wrote and shared with you today rings true and gets you thinking about what it really means to love and connect and how not feeling that love and connection and sense of belonging really hurts. It's real emotional pain. And even though it might be little t trauma and we often minimize or dismiss it, it builds up over time. And when it's gone on long enough and a person can no longer compensate through their behaviors, they may just finally turn to suicide as their only possible outlet. I know it sounds crazy. I know it might be something that you may never consider doing, but imagine what a person must be going through if they get to the point where they feel like their life no longer is worth living. And it just pains me so much to know that anyone is in pain. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. And that's why it's so important for me to share this message, this idea that we're just missing the point on, quote, mental health, that people cognitively, we know how to reason and think and process. We have these abilities. That's our frontal lobe and our cognitive abilities, but it's really our feelings that are being hurt, and that's the pain that we're trying to ease. And when our behaviors, whether constructive or destructive, no longer compensate, then we might turn to extremely dramatic and drastic actions or behaviors just to try to get through the day. So I hope this resonates with you. I hope you'll ponder it, think about it, share it. having this type of understanding and knowing that a person is not crazy or insane or, chemically imbalanced, that their brain is not broken, maybe that understanding and perspective can really help people reach out to those who care about them or reach out to professional services that can really help them get through the most acute elements of their pain and then hopefully begin on a path to recovery, so that they do feel that life is worth living and that they are happier in their lives and can celebrate with the people around them. Because I'm pretty confident that for every person in the world, there are other people who do really love and care about them. It's just that those messages aren't getting through, and we shouldn't be condemning people and labeling them as broken and ill and mentally ill and shaming and judging them for that. People need to feel like they matter, like their feelings matter, like their emotions matter. And you can try talking to yourself, but we humans are designed to connect with others. That's why we have the hormone oxytocin. It's the love hormone. And when we are connecting with other human beings, then that hormone is released through our body and it feels really good. And that's how we can really get on a path, on an upward spiral to a happier, healthier life that we all want to live and enjoy together on this planet. So I hope that's been insightful. I hope you'll join this episode's Uchi Tribe and have a deeper conversation or just continue the conversation. And I really hope that you will share this episode with your network and especially with the people who matter most to you. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Question It. Remember, growth happens outside your comfort zone, so keep experimenting with life and embracing change. If you enjoyed this episode, please connect with me in the show notes, leave a 5-star review on the platform of your choice, and please join this episode's Uchi Tribe to dig into deeper conversation with me and fellow listeners. Until next time, peace, love, and connect.